Other than the NFL draft, what we're talking about these days is The Last Dance on ESPN, the fantastic documentary. Jason Hare, the director, was on yesterday's show right at this time. And we go to our phone lines, and joining us is a guy who was all over that documentary this past weekend because what was documented was the highly documented hate between the Bulls and the Bad Boys Pistons years. And a guy who was on that team and then won championships with two other teams in the rest of his stellar NBA career. John Salley here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Spider Salley?
Man, I couldn't wait to get on this show. What's it been, 5 years since I begged you to be on your show?
Stop it, John. You've never been on this show before? Of course you have.
Man, yeah, I had to call the wife and send flowers. I babysitted your kids one day. Like, what the hell? Just to get on the Rich Eisen.
I am so glad that you are on, John. Let's put it that way. Is there anything you learned from the documentary over the weekend?
Yeah.
What'd you learn?
I learned, one, we didn't realize that we still are on the mind of Michael Jordan. So imagine being the greatest player to ever play in the NBA, and he goes to sleep thinking about you. I really appreciated that. We also we didn't know the inner workings. I know Jerry Krause was shady, but I didn't know what he did to Scotty, and I didn't know Scotty had such bad representation on doing a 7-year deal. But I knew Michael was that intense. I've been around Michael since. I mean, I went to visit Georgia Tech when they were playing North Carolina, and the next 2 years I was playing against MJ. So I've been with him, with frat brothers. I've been with him since 1982. So I knew he was intense. I know how it is to play. I know how it is to play with Magic in a pickup game and in a real game. So imagine what it's like to play against MJ in a pickup game. No referees. It's ridiculous. So we knew that, but that's the way we were in Detroit. We were mentally strong all the time, and I'm so happy. I don't know, calling us thugs and like that. Not really. If you played against Bob Lanier or I got hit in the head by Artis Gilmore, I still got the knot to this day. Maurice Lucas, come on. You got to be kidding me. We were just playing the game the way the game was played. It's just when he came in, the lead took a turn. So we were the last of the Mohicans.
Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, so you just gave me a lot to unpack right there, John. So when was the first time you met Jordan? You literally met him when you guys were teenagers, is what you're saying?
I was 18 years old. He was 19. I went to visit Georgia Tech. They played against him, and then the next year, you do things in the summertime. I was at 5-star basketball camp with Lenny Bias all the time. We would, if you go and play in North Carolina, I wind up going with David Falk, the same agent, the pro serve at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was always in the midst of it. So, like, I did my first TV show, the John Salley Show, in 1988, and my first guest was Michael Jordan. So I went to the hotel, picked him up. I sent you the footage. It's amazing. That was my guy. Still is. And for it to turn into what it turned into, everybody was thinking hate of Isaiah. People didn't realize Isaiah's from Chicago, and that was his city. And then Michael came and made the people in the city like the Bulls, but they were Isaiah fans. So it was not really hate. I think it was the attitude about playing against the Pistons. It really revved him. I'm gonna tell you one story, Rich.
Go for it, John.
I get on the Bulls, and we scrimmage once in a while. So all of a sudden, Phil sends Michael and Scotty home. We're going to talk to the guys. He goes, all right, we're playing for minutes. So guys are ready to play. Michael and Scotty are not there. Dennis is off to the side. Dennis he's going to play. And Michael walks back in the gym. And he has on just the canvas shoes, low tops. He goes, no, Phil, no, I knew you were going to do a scrimmage. No. Put the Pistons over there. I tell you what, all three Pistons, Ron Harper, and give him somebody else against them. And he is playing against the teams he played against.
This is on the 90s. This is on the 96 Bulls, right? When
on
you
the
got
96 Bulls,
right?
He's not taped. He may have on ankle socks. I'm not exaggerating. And feels like you can't stop MJ from what he wants to do. All of a sudden, he gets a steal, and I'm lagging back, and I turn around, and I'm going to try to block your shot. And as I turn, he's in the air, and his middle section of his body is flying by my head, and he's like, block this female dog. And I like, what just happened? I go back to the hotel, which is across just over the fence from the practice facility, and I call my mother, and I said, Ma, I just saw the greatest player of all time. She said, it took you this long to say that? I go, I'm not going to say it publicly, but he just did some things I didn't see since I was playing in Brooklyn when we didn't get taped and we wore Converse sneakers on concrete, and people were jumping 40 inches off the ground, 50 inches off the ground. This guy was amazing. Well, and I remember that to this day. Like, he was playing against the Pistons when he was playing in that pickup game.
That's what I'm saying. Is that John Salley here on the Rich Eisen Show? Is that your teammates in '96? He's already got several trophies in the case. He's now back for the second time with the Bulls,
right?
After his White Sox hiatus. And he still, even though you're his teammate, and same with Ron Harper, he still views it Harper's a Cav who he had to get past, and then you're still a Piston that he had to get past, and he just that's part of his fire that he can't forget that you stood in his way and you prevented him from having more trophies in the case. That's how greedy he was. So how did that ever resolve itself? I guess you would just be somebody that you were never there at the beginning, and he'll hold that against you forevermore. Is that the way it is, John?
No,
essentially.
No. That's the best thing about MJ. MJ whole thing. He was going for championship 4, 5, 6, and if it didn't happen the way it happened with Scotty, it would have been what would have been 9 championships in 10 years. If they would have literally had the same mentality as the Boston Celtics and played them until the wheels fell off, no one would have. It would have literally been one of the greatest, second greatest franchise to the Boston Celtics according to championships. It would have. Well, the Lakers now, but
sure,
it was amazing on what he. And it's not a hate as a person. He loves the game of basketball, and it's that competition. Dennis Rodman said it really well. We would play the game for free. You get paid for the other stuff.
Right.
And MJ would be in there, like, early in the morning. We would start practice at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, boom, boom, boom. All right, we're going to do 45 minutes of either this weight training, this stuff against the wall with the heavy balls. You're going to run. You're going to do that. And Scotty and Michael go in and watch SportsCenter. They run in and they sit on the table, or they get in ice, or they got on STEM or Heat, and they're watching SportsCenter while we're doing 45 minutes of working out. And I was like, I'm not complaining, but I'm wondering, wow, this is amazing. I said, how is that? They go, oh, Scotty and Michael get up at 7 and work out, and then they come to practice with us. I was like, you're kidding me. He goes, no. And Harp was like, and I'm at those workouts, and I still got to stay in here with y'all, out here with y'all. They worked out at 7 in the morning till 9. Then we'll come to practice, get tape, get treatment, then practice with us. That's how intense MJ was. Then after practice, shower, and MJ would get in the pool and do the workout in the pool.
And it's interesting, John, is that from the documentary, it does seem that all that work ethic in terms of working out and making sure his body was strong was born out of the battles with the bad boys from what we saw. In the few minutes I have left, I do want to hit you on all of that. Did you know at the time, did you not shake hands? Did you want to shake hands? What in the world happened? Because Isaiah said that that Lambeer came up with that idea just as the 91 Eastern Conference Finals was ending.
I didn't agree with it in 91. I don't agree with it now. I understand they took a stand as a team, but as personally. Remember this. Even though we're a team, we're 12 individuals, 12 individual companies. I had to literally. I said, Chuck, put me back in the game. And he was like, come on, Sal, you can't get any more points. I go, you got to put me back because I don't want to be a part of what's about to happen. And they walked off. And then when the game was over, first person I went up to is Money. That's my frat brother. I dapped him up. And then I went to Horace and Scotty, who was standing together, to the coach. Everybody, it was Scott Hastings as well. All the guys on the team that was on the court. We went and we shook their hand. I just didn't think right then. Isaiah said it was an emotional time and it was a knee-jerk reaction. I didn't think they were going to shake Bill Bear's hand even if he would have stayed. But I just think it just me. It wasn't who I was. It's not who I am to my friend. Not who I am to my fraternity brother. I'm not who I am to. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm going to try to beat the wheels off you while I'm playing against you because I want to win. I don't want you to win. But after the competition, it's back to, who's buying the first round and, what club we going to. It's back to being human. And that's the difference. I can turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah, I guess. And Isaiah seems to think that's what kept him off the dream team. Would you agree with that?
I think I agree. And I agree. Part of it, Michael is like mad at Isaiah. No, come on. One, grow up. We're all above 50. That was then. Two, MJ really doesn't hold. He's competitive like that with anything. You can play anything against MJ, and he's going to be that same competitive person. You can pitch pennies. He's going to be, he's going to look, mine is cool. He's going to be that person. So it's not a bad person. That's MJ. That's why he's the greatest of all time. And I do think it hurt Isaiah on that point. I think because it should have been the one time they had a picture of Isaiah and Money shaking hands after that. No one could have said anything after, but they were able to use it against. And like Isaiah said, the only two people he heard ever said anything about the Dream Team was Scotty and Malone. And Isaiah should have been on that team. There's no way he shouldn't have been. Chuck Daly was the coach. So Dumas is on the squad. Yeah. Great. But, Isaiah was supposed to be on that team. But it's fine. He was on Dream Team, too.
No, I know that. But the fact that he wasn't so I guess that's what it was. It was personal against Isaiah that Jordan would be there and saying, I'm fine playing with Dumars and for Chuck Daly, but I just can't have Isaiah on the team.
Michael wouldn't do that. Michael was going to go no matter who you put on the court because he was going to represent America. So then, and as you really do see, it was the biggest Nike infiltration of Adidas ever. That's when they dropped posters. That's when the world got to see Michael Jordan and Nike. So he was going to go no matter what. The big thing was Magic was back. You remember? This was a year after. It was the next year after the HIV, and then it was after he handed the trophy off to Michael, and he had to get Larry Bird to play. So it was a big thing pushing the NBA, and somebody made that decision. It definitely wasn't a player. Players not saying, "Hey, I'm not going to be on Dream Team because Isaiah's on it." Then no, there's not that kind of hate. None. It can't be.
So who made the decision? Do you think, John?
God rest his soul, David Stern. What he wanted to promote as the NBA. I think the NBA marketing was a part of that. Like he's Isaiah is one of the greatest players that I've ever played against, and one of the greatest players that ever played in the NBA. But if in the stats that we're bragging about, Steph Curry, one of the greatest point guards to play, Isaiah had those numbers in year 6 and beyond. So and he never was. Isaiah was always there. The deal was somebody obviously didn't want to promote the mentality or what we had going on. They were moving on. Check out what they moved on to. They moved on to Phoenix. They moved on to the Utah Jazz. The Chicago Bulls were the staple. San Antonio was on the come up. Orlando was on the come up. They made a mistake by not putting Shaquille on the team. Those were mistakes. And if you were going to market, because that would have been the different team. But they needed to have Stockton on that team. We needed Chris Mullin on that team. We had an unbelievable look. Chris Mullin, one of my favorite players. People forgot he was on Dream Team One. You needed that. So it was. I think it was a mess up, but I think the mess up came from the backlash from the world media about what happened with the Bulls.
John, I've got about 30 seconds left. Tell me about N-Stock. What are you doing with that, John?
N-Stock, and the word stock. I got into, I was in the medical supply business. You got to keep your business going when you're not making hook shots. And too bad for this pandemic, but it was definitely needed. And I thought, I'm going to make sure the state of California has everything we need. We make everything in America. Face shields, masks, hand sanitizers. So everybody stay home, listen to the Rich Eisen Show.
I love you, John.
That's what I'm saying.
You're good.
Right?
You're good.
Check it out online.
You're a good man. And online at nstock.com. Is that what it is?
Nstock Medical.
Nstock Medical. John, let's get you back on in the next couple of weeks. I'd love to keep chatting with you about all this. You're the best. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, man. One love.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.